Hey guys, my name's Doug with Infotainment.com. Today we're in the 2015 and up Ford Mustang. This looks familiar to a lot of you. This is the 4-inch display. We here at Infotainment.com designed an 8-inch upgrade, completely factory, the Sync 3 with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It is such an amazing upgrade. It retains all of your factory features since it is a 100% factory upgrade. The installation is easy, which I'll demonstrate here in a moment. But we do offer this upgrade on our website. If you want to click the link below this video, it'll take you right there. But great upgrade that retains your backup camera, satellite radio if you have it. If you don't have satellite radio and you want to add it, now's the perfect time to do it. This all I will demonstrate here shortly. As I mentioned, it is easy to install, so let's get started. The first thing we're going to want to do is remove this little trim here. You can use a dash pry tool or just a flathead screwdriver, but this is just held in with retaining clips. So all you got to do is get behind it and it'll just pop out of place. Once that's removed, you can now remove this dash panel here by just simply pulling it out of place. This too is also held in with just retaining clips. Set that aside. All right, now that the dash is removed up here, that'll give us access to the 4 7mm screws. We have 2 at the top of the bezel here, then we have 2 behind this plate here. So all you have to do is just get behind that plate and that'll give you access to the other 2 screws. Once all 4 screws are removed, you can just simply pop this bezel out of place. Now we're just going to disconnect the connectors that are behind the bezel. To remove the USB, you're going to pull these 2 tabs back and then it'll come right out. We can now take this bezel and set it aside. Now what we're going to do is we're going to remove the 4-inch display here, which is just held in with 4 7mm screws. And then disconnect the connector that's connected in the back. Pressing the tab, lower down the lever, and it comes right out. Now what we're going to do is we're going to remove the 3 7mm screws that hold in our sync module. Once we remove the module, we're going to want to remove these connectors on the bottom. We have a gray USB, we have a black USB, and then we have the main sync module connector. So we're going to push in this little tab here, and that allows us to release the lever, the gray lever, to pull it out. We can set our sync module aside. This particular customer opted for the satellite radio upgrade. Those of you who currently have satellite radio, you won't have to replace your unit here. I'm going to only replace this unit here because the customer does want satellite radio. I'm going to mount the antenna just underneath here for the satellite radio reception. Again, if you already have satellite radio or you don't have satellite radio and you don't intend to add it, you can skip the next step of removing the CD player module. As I mentioned, since this customer wanted the Sirius satellite radio, we're going to go ahead and remove this up here. This will pop right out. And that'll give you access to a few flat spots here to install not only the Sirius antenna in this particular installation video, but also the GPS antenna. The Sync 3 navigation requires the GPS antenna to be installed. So typically what I like to do is, you know, people have different ways to install things. They like to, you know, some people like to mount the Sirius antenna on the outside of the vehicle. You certainly can. Some people like to install the GPS antenna under the dash on a metal bracket. You can certainly do that as well. But what I like to do here is just put a little bit of double-sided tape you can get from your hardware store. Put the GPS antenna here and put the satellite radio antenna here. This will give you more than enough reception right here through the windshield. So I'll do that now. So I went ahead and put some double-sided tape on the GPS antenna. And I'll set it right there. I'm going to go ahead and route the cable. You can either route the cable back down and then back through, or right through here. Pull down the slack. Use our twist tie to kind of keep all the excess cable contained behind the radio cavity. And then the customer wanted satellite radio, so we're going to go ahead and put the antenna right here. And the same with the GPS antenna. We'll go ahead and route the wire down here. You can now reinstall the dash top here. And that'll just clip back into place. All right, the next part of this video, what we're gonna do is we're gonna wanna replace this USB media hub here. This media hub is not compatible with Apple CarPlay. So what we have to do is we have to replace it with one that almost looks identical. But we also have to run some cables to it to retain power and to retain the USB. So we'll run a USB cable to it as well as a power line to our new hub. In order to do so, what we're gonna have to do is just kind of remove the top part of this center console here. And by doing that, we're gonna wanna remove the two 7mm screws that are on both sides on the lower panel here. And I'll show you how to do that now. All right, on both sides of this console, we're gonna pop out these lower panels here, just held in with retaining clips. That'll give us access to the two 7mm screws. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove this top piece here. This is all held in with retaining clips. Once you take out the two screws on that side, and then two screws on the driver's side. Then you use your pry tool and just get up under it. It's just held in with retaining clips. So you lift up on this. And then what you can do towards the front here, there's a clip. Basically, if you just kind of pull back on it gently, it'll release those. This just gives us enough room to get back here to take out the USB hub and to run our wiring. All right, what I went ahead and did is, if you reach from the underside here, you're gonna wanna press in the tabs that hold your existing hub in. Then you can kind of use your pry tool to kind of give you a little bit of leverage to have it some pressure coming out. But basically what I wanted to show you guys is there's one tab on the top, there's one on the right side, one on the left side, and then also two on the bottom. So you kind of know what to look for or feel for whenever you're trying to pop that hub out. So as I said, get it from the backside, push those in, and then this will just pop out. Don't get frustrated with it. It will take you a couple minutes to get it. But once you do, that's probably one of the hardest parts of the install. And it would only take you maybe 30, 45 seconds. Once you have it released, you can press these two tabs in, or out, I should say, and then slide this little connector out. All right, this next part, I went ahead and just removed this little cubby. You don't have to, I just did it just to show you guys. Just two 7mm screws that hold this little cubby in. But basically what we're gonna wanna do now is run two things to the media hub that's in the armrest. We're gonna run this connector here off our main 4 to 8 inch convergence harness, and then we're gonna have this connector here, which will retain the USB feature or function. So these two wires we're gonna run. The easiest way to do this, you can get creative on this too, there's no right or wrong way to do it, but what I've done in the past is if you stick it back here, you'll notice you can kind of come out on the side here, and then you can sneak it. Once you pull it through, if you lift this up, you can grab it right here, and then just pull the slack back here. Then we just feed these cables through the cubby where your media hub used to be. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to install the new hub. So what you'll have to do is this cable here, all we're really grabbing off of this is power and ground. So those of you who are kind of advanced installers, you don't even really have to run this. You just really grabbing power and ground. So you can grab it off the cigarette lighter or somewhere else. But for 95% of us, this will be your best bet. So as I mentioned, power and ground, we're tapping off of that. We're going to plug that connector into the hub. Now, you have a couple connectors left. So what we're going to do, if you're looking at it like this, is we're going to stick the small converter into the left side. We're going to take this one that we ran from the main, from the behind the radio. We're going to take this one, plug it into the right side, and then we're going to just plug these two together. That completes the installation of the CarPlay hub. We can just tuck those wires back in and then clip it into place. All right, what we're going to do in this next step, before we reinstall the CD player, we're going to want to take the brackets off of the original CD player that we removed. There's just 3 Phillips head screws on each side. As you can see, this one has a black connector, doesn't have the yellow, which indicates Sirius satellite radio. This one has the embedded Sirius satellite radio, so that's what the customer wanted. So it's just a matter of removing the 3 screws on each side, placing the brackets on the replacement radio, and then this will slide right into place. Okay, what we're going to want to do now is the other end of the wire we ran to the USB hub in the armrest. We're going to plug that into the black connector. They'll just mate together. Set that aside. With the gray connector, we're going to use this little conversion to plug it in here. Set this aside. This one from the gray will plug into the back of our Sync 3 module. So we'll set that aside. Now, this is our main 4 to 8 inch conversion harness. Basically what I just want to show you guys real quick, it's pretty self-explanatory. but what we'll do is, we have a couple connectors here. Number one, if you have factory installed backup camera, this retains it. All you have to do is plug in the connector that was in the back of your 4-inch display, put it into this here. Now, this retains your factory rear camera. If you didn't have rear camera for some reason, you can do an aftermarket camera and you can plug it right into the input here. This here will not be used in this particular instance. This is for satellite radio travel link, sat travel link. This is an option for some of you. It's not very popular, but you know, with an extra subscription through Sirius Satellite Radio, you can get weather report, sports score, stuff like that on your Sync 3 module. As I mentioned, if you're interested in that, inquire about it. But in this instance, we're going to keep that away. This is not used either. So that leaves us with this cable or this connector here. So we're just going to unplug the main connector that was plugged into the sync module. Remember the big black module right here? We're just going to plug that into this female port and then snap the gray connector in. Once you do that, we're pretty much ready to go and start installing everything back in the vehicle. You know, a lot of people like using, you know, zip ties or whatnot to make sure everything's nice and organized behind. But in this scenario, we can go ahead and install the ACM. Now that we have the brackets on it, it's just 4 screws that hold it in, so we can reinstall that, and then we can proceed with the Sync 3 module. All right, now when we go to install the ACM, we'll plug in our new satellite radio antenna. The black connectors are AM/FM antenna radio, and then our 2 connectors here, which go in the back. All right, now it's time to install the Sync 3 APIM along with the screen. What we're going to do is we're going to take the GPS antenna connector, we'll plug it into this port here. You hear it snap into place. Now coming off the old sync module, which was the gray connector, we're going to plug it into the black connector on the back of the APIM. Now some of the APIMs only have 1 connector, you'll just plug it into the black regardless, but make sure you take it from the gray to the black. Last but not least, with this particular harness, we're going to plug it into the APIM here. Make sure the lever's all the way down, and then as you pull it up, you'll hear it snap into place, and now we're done installing this portion. You'll notice the GPS antenna, I kind of coiled it, I didn't scrunch it. Sometimes you lose GPS reception by scrunching it, but in either case, you notice this lines up perfectly, and then all we have to do is install our 4 screws to complete that part of the install. We're now ready to install the bezel. Some of you may receive yours without the cigarette lighter here. So what you're going to want to do is remove it off your factory bezel, your original one, and then pop it into place. To do so, just notice 2 little tabs. You have a little tab here and a little tab on the other side. What you're going to want to do is just get behind that tab on both sides, and then this just pops out. You could then take off the little bezel part, and then just pop it into the new bezel. All right, we're now ready to install the bezel. You're gonna have 4 connectors. You're gonna have the USB connector, which will slide right into here, the 2 connectors here, and then your cigarette lighter connector there. get it lined up. It'll just pop into place. And then we can install our 4 screws. Okay, now that our bezel's popped into place, we went ahead and popped in this small little plastic cover here that covers the 2 screws. This cubby here, which I took out earlier, just put those 2 screws back in as well. Really what we could do at this point, guys, is just kind of put the vehicle back together. We did test it to make sure everything worked. And then, you know, we went ahead and, you know, made sure everything was nice and secure behind the system, zip tied, so on and so forth. So what we'll do now is we'll just reassemble the dash and all the other pieces, and we'll fire it up. All right, now that we have the dash, everything buttoned up, everything back in its place, let's go ahead and fire it up. Right away you notice the nice Pony Mustang logo. That really sets things apart, and when you first start up the car. And man, what a great upgrade. You know, you got the nice big 8-inch screen. This is 100% factory, guys. This is the factory Sync 3. This particular customer opted for nav. We also carry the non-nav version for a little cheaper. For those of you who would like to retain navigation through Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. But as I mentioned, this retains all your existing features. Nice big backup camera screen. I mean, what a difference. Steering wheel controls for volume, sync, everything. You retain everything. You just have to repair your phone. But just a quick little run through. In the audio section, this customer opted for Sirius satellite radio, as I showed you how to install. So now Sirius, you get that through here. Great upgrade. Those of you who have Sirius, you will retain it. The only thing you will do is, in access to this installation video, we will send you a little programmer that you'll plug into your OBD2 port for about 30 seconds. You'll notice a little green light on the programmer, and that programs your existing Sirius ACM CD player module to retain sync when you upgrade to the nice big 8-inch screen. So that is a step that you will have to do for those of you who do not add Sirius or that CD player module to your vehicle. Real easy to do, I just wanted to point that out. AM, FM, obviously. Climate, you now have full climate control through not only the screen, but also, you know, through the manual controls down here. That's a great upgrade, as well as auto. Add your phone, just simply repair it. Navigation, this is the embedded navigation in the Sync 3 module. As I mentioned, this is an option, but it's an awesome system here to retain or to have native navigation right here in your display. It has all the traditional features a nav system has. Set up all the addresses you want, latest points of interest, so on and so forth. It's got the pinch to zoom feature, so you can get in. It's, you know, it's got a great touchscreen, awesome resolution. And the apps feature, once you get your phone on here and you link it all up, you can get mobile apps, so on and so forth. Sirius Travel Link, for those of you who want to use that, you will need an extra part. Not required though, and it does require a subscription through Sirius Satellite Radio. Then the settings menu, you can come in here and fool with all the CarPlay, Android Auto settings, whatever the case may be. One of the big things the customers love about this upgrade is the ability to get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I'll show you a quick little demo of Apple CarPlay. Android Auto works the same, but obviously just using a different cable. You just need to plug in your lightning cable either into the USB input here or the one in your armrest. But simply just plug your phone in, and bam, now you have Apple CarPlay in your Mustang. What a great upgrade. You have your phone, your Apple Music, Maps. Those of you who opt to not get the internal navigation and you want to just use Apple CarPlay, for navigation, you can certainly do that. It speaks to you through the speakers in either case. Videos, or whatever's playing currently, whether it's Spotify, Pandora. If you press the forward sync, this brings you back to the main screen. Go back to Apple CarPlay by just pressing that. Audiobook, Spotify, as I mentioned, a bunch of other apps that you can download onto it. Obviously your messaging, but just a great slick upgrade for these Mustang customers. Here at Infotainment.com, we do so much more than just the 4 to 8 inch upgrade. Those of you who have the 2015 Mustang with the My 4 Touch, let's just say, you want to go from the My 4 Touch Sync 2 to the Sync 3 with Apple CarPlay, we offer it. A whole bunch of different options regarding cameras, obviously CarPlay, so on and so forth. So come check us out, Infotainment.com. You can click the link that's in this video, and it'll bring you right to the page that gives you a lot more information. Thanks for watching, guys.